बस एक ही गुल्लू काफी था बर्बादे गुलिस्ता करने को, हर शाख पे उल्लू बैठा है, अंजामे गुलिस्ता क्या होगा. I just want to tell you that we did have a air ticket ready for you to fly you down for this discussion, and we also had a gold-plated car waiting for you at the airport. But after Modi ji said avoid, so we are just doing it online. Otherwise, we really had everything planned for you. Honest truth, cross my heart.
It's always the thought that counts.
Yeah, see,
you're not really thinking about dollar rupee exchange ratio, unless the ratio is too bad as it is right now at 96 almost. So I think that's really the objective, is to say, okay, can we calibrate through by reaching out and appealing to people to control all these things? My sense is that you can't. I mean, it's good to appeal. I think appeal should be preceded by example setting. I think in this case, it seemed to be the other way around.
Lot of people, by what they look like, would be consuming more than a small size state in fried foods, I'm guessing. I mean, really, dude, it's sorry, all the overworked people have got hugely offended as of now, and I'm getting emails. Noted.
We are a very anxious nation because we live in uncertainty even more than maybe most other countries. So people started filling up. There was no shortage of fuel, and I think the data also showed, supported that later, that people were filling up 50% more than what they would, and therefore the petrol pumps ran out of fuel. We have a funny situation. We are actually surplus in solar during the day. So solar, the problem is you can generate all this electricity, but you can't store it, or we don't have the ability. I mean, the technology is still limited in terms of storage. So you have to use everything by, let's say, 6 p.m. or and then after that, all the solar plants start backing down.
So right now we have excess in the day of solar.
Yeah.
We are producing more than we are consuming.
Correct.
I really think G is emerging as such a smart man because he doesn't let his ego get in the way. He is stronger than any other leader, financially, militarily, but yet his tone and tenor of his engagement with Trump is always so measured and smart.
Fancy banquets and tough handshaking had to happen. The handshakes were really firm, which to the outside world would look like a sign that US and China are on the right trajectory. But of course, there are structural fault lines. If we have to zoom out a little bit to understand what exactly was going on in the minds of the two leaders when this summit was scheduled or rather postponed for a new date, which was 13th to the 15th of May. So I believe right about now, Trump is flying back to the US. And what was going on in their minds, aside from, burgers or noodles, pardon me, but was essentially different things that pertain to divergent foreign policy expectations and outcomes.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to NL Hafta. We have a debut with our young, brilliant desk editor who will introduce himself, who has replaced the much loved and missed Jayashree. Hey Jayashree, if you're watching, come back on Hafta once in a while when time permits. But before I introduce the panel and the headlines, I would like to remind you that it is Press Freedom Month. It was actually Press Freedom Day, 1st of May, right? And yeah. Manisha kept sewing Mother's Day into it. But anyway, it was Press Freedom Day, which is relevant to us. So this is Press Freedom Month. Now picture this. You are a journalist who wants to do independent journalism. But as the headlines will tell you, too many compromises have to be made because too many industrialists own media. What are you going to do? Well, we have an ad-free platform. We depend only on you. Our motto is when the public pays, the public is served. So scan this QR code, subscribe and pay to keep news free. It is important you do so, and we will make it worth your while. And we have a special offer since there is a lot of news and headlines about Naxalism having been eradicated, or Amit Shah having promised that March he will finish Naxalism, and there was lots of news regarding that. News Laundry, several years ago, maybe 8, 9, maybe even 10 years ago, we had done a picture book, a comic of the entire story of Naxalism. It is readable, it is interesting. We have thrown in, references, contemporary pop culture references, etc. But it is historically accurate. This is what it looks like. And you can purchase the comic along with a monthly subscription at a discounted combined price of $11.99. Otherwise, the original was $13.49. So here's the QR code for that. This is what the comic book looks like, or maybe it's on either side. Our graphic team will decide that. And there is also a link for this scheme. You can click on that, get the comic, get a subscription. It's a special offer. Now with that, I will tell you who is on the panel today. Our old regular who is here after a while, Raman Kirpal. Welcome,
Hi.
Sir.
Hi.
Rinchen Norbu has joined us a few months ago, but he's making his Hafta debut today. Rinchen, what is your official designation?
Assistant editor.
I see, on the desk. So all the lovely stories you read, they have been often rewritten by Rinchen. He is extremely well read, extremely articulate. He's a little nervous because this is his first Hafta. But what I am very glad about is that all the people who hire at News Laundry are usually smarter than me. And that is very satisfying. And as you will realize over subsequent haftas, Rinchen definitely is. And that is just like Jayashree was. So he had said, don't buy gold, don't travel, do carpool. In unrelated news, the Prime Minister has gone on a 5-nation tour, sir?
5 nations.
Over 5 days?
Yeah.
After telling you to stay home and do carpooling, Modi ji,
Okay, that maybe some people will say that strategically it is important. But when he talked of austerity, there was a huge celebration in Assam where he was part of that, and before that he also had a road show where they were in Kolkata. So I mean, that also happened after his call for austerity.
And yet all the channels were saying what a lovely call, and why are people criticizing this call? Just give us an overview of how these 7 things, I mean, is there any significant impact that could come of it? And just how screwed are we?
There is a investing interest now in gold, which there wasn't, let's say, 2 years ago. I mean, gold usually you think of as something you buy for occasions and marriages and things like that. But the investment demand for gold has also been now going up. People are buying ETFs, and people are putting money into ETFs which invest in gold. Now, when you buy an ETF, I mean, just as an aside, you're buying a digital asset, but that digital asset is backed by a physical asset. So if you buy, let's say, Kotak Gold Fund or Kotak Gold ETF or Birla Gold ETF, once you make that purchase, they have to go and back it up with physical gold in the warehouse. I mean, it is not in their premises, but it has to be somewhere there will be a physical gold. So the point is that gold, therefore, imports have gone up because people have been buying, and the price of gold has gone up. So that itself has increased. What may have been $50 or $60 billion is $70 billion. So that's the second one. Then we have vegetable oil or cooking oil, which is about $19 billion. Which is an interesting thing. I was interviewing Atul Chaturvedi, who's the chairman of the Asian Palm Oil Alliance, also chairman of Renuka Sugars, and he was telling me that he says one is you cannot substitute cooking oil. I mean, it is desirable, but you can't. But what you can definitely do, and he referred to 2 states, Gujarat and Maharashtra. He says you can bring down your cooking oil consumption, because he says the per capita cooking oil consumption in these states is way higher, including Punjab, I think, than many other states in India. So other states actually should consume a little more, which may be linked to, let's say, affordability and so on. But these states need to bring down. Maybe, if there's too much of cooking of sweets and so on and so forth. But generally, these are the states, if they should bring down, and other states could go up. But
from the macroeconomic point of view, well, I think it's kind of bizarre for him to keep making these demands while himself he does very little. But there is a economic logic to it, which is what?
Yeah, I think the economic logic seems fairly clear. We are in a situation where the rupee is depreciating and is under severe pressure. There is capital outflow because foreign portfolio investors are selling, and there is not enough direct investment coming in either. That's FDI. So that's on one end. On the other hand, obviously, oil prices are going up. So if you look at the import bill as a whole, there are those exactly 4 or 5 things that matter. One is oil, where we import about $130 billion of oil. Next is gold. We've imported $72 billion of gold. Now, there is a bit of a proviso there because the amount of gold we are importing is roughly the same or may have gone up slightly, but the prices of gold have gone up 50-60% in the last year to year. If you had measured it maybe in Jan, it would have been actually double almost.
But that is not purely demand and supply. That is also because no other asset was performing. So that's a safe haven asset. Like if the stock market started performing, or if other market forces or whatever, then maybe it wouldn't go. So it's not purely a question of demand and supply, right?
I mean, I feel it's 2 months late. I mean, if you look at other countries in Southeast Asia, they were starting to cut back 2 months ago. Now, I mean, there is a counter argument to that. Okay, 2 months ago or 2 weeks into the war, we did not know, and we were all hoping that it'll end in 1 week, 2 weeks, because Trump himself said that we're going to finish this off in 4 weeks or something.
And as we know, Trump never lies.
Yeah. So we don't, anyway, so now we don't know, is this going to be a forever war or some version of a forever war? Because unless there is a conclusive end to it, there is no way you can start looking ahead. And in any case, all predictions are now saying, even if there is a conclusive end in the next few weeks, prices are not going to fall because supplies from West Asia will take time to ramp up. I think since you did mention the Prime Minister going on, I think we were talking about China. What the Prime Minister should be doing really is to take people with him and make it a proper business trip with, let's say, 20 big businesses and so on, because that's what India needs right now. I mean, we need to, only Prime Minister going is fine when that serves the geopolitical part. But I think the business part, we really need to be going out there. Not like Trump. I think all American presidents do it. And soliciting business and and talking about, why companies need to invest in India and so on. I don't think hosting big events in India is of much use now. I would argue it's not been of much. It's been of limited use in the past too, but we really need to be hitting the road with all our top businesses and so on. Not just a handful, but many more.
What is Trump planning to get out of this? What is the incentive for all these billionaires and tech bros to go with him?
For Trump, for example, and this was evident from the very short but telling White House readout that came out recently, it was the Iran war. It was sellable deliverables and business deals that he could sell back home as victories vis-a-vis China. And of course, the trade and technological tensions that were in the backdrop. But mostly it was the war in West Asia and business deals that were his points of emphasis and focus going into the meeting, and what kept him preoccupied before that. For Xi Jinping, it was something much more different, which was the issue of Taiwan, trying to get Trump to say something to the tune of, we don't really care about it anymore. The US isn't invested in Taiwan's future and de facto sovereignty. So let's, get that bone of contention out of the stew and make something really fantastic, right?
In this negotiation between the US and China, what did Modi say when both of them called him for his advice? Because I'm guessing they must have, right? Without that, nothing happens in the world. What would Modi have said? What does it mean for India?
I think for India, aside from the business deals, it is on a broader level, on a paradigmatic level, it is important to acknowledge that if Trump's going to be the kind of guy who bilateralizes the China relationship completely, he does not care if there's a second party or a group of three or a multilateral that jointly tries to meet the China challenge, it's going to be an issue, right? Because for India, and in India, for the longest time, we thought that the mutual China challenge was a glue that was holding the India-US relationship together. And the past few years have been evidence that that was not the case. And it just needed someone with a more proactive mindset as Trump, right?
And I have a little message from our subscriber engagement lead who is going to be overseeing the entire book club program, Muskan. Here's what she has to say.
I'm Muskan and we're launching the News Laundry book club. We actually do have a book club email ID for it. So if you want to send us ideas, you can send them to us at bookclub@newslaundry.com. And what we want to do with this book club is essentially create a community of people who love reading, who love ideas, and want other people like them, different from them, who agree with them, who disagree with them, to sort of talk about books and ideas and the things that they've been reading, because people read in isolation. And then they go to their friends and complain about how they have no one to talk to about with the book that they've read last. And what we also want to say is this is a book club that should feel like a hangout with your friends. We want it to create community for all of us. And we'll be launching it in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. And like I said, if you have ideas, please email them to bookclub@newslaundry.com.
Right. So you can write to her directly. Tell us what you want. What do you think? What are the suggestions of how to make this book club more engaging?
Trump was effusive in his praise of Xi, saying, "Oh, you're a great leader. I say to everybody," stuff like that. And whereas Xi was again disciplined, measured, not giving away too much. And so, there's a complete 180. And I also think there's one key point I think that we didn't really cover with this visit was that the timing of it. Now, the original summit I think was scheduled for March. And this was April. It was scheduled for that time. And I think Trump's assumption was that we'll get into Iran 1 week, 2 weeks, we will finish them off, and then I will come, then I will visit Beijing as like a victor and sort of, carry that momentum with him. And now he's bogged down in this conflict with Iran. And this visit to China, in some ways, I think signals a sense of desperation. He's desperate for some good deals, some good optics. I think that's what he's looking for.
बस मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full uncut podcast, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to the Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the News Laundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that News Laundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to News Laundry, click on the link in the show notes below and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.